So, hi, welcome. I'm Mike Hord. I'm the commercial director at Opticore, and I'm joined here by Karo Bonas, who is our head of project management. We thought we would kick off a debate out there in the project management world. We're going to have a chat around various aspects of project management, the things that we think are key to successful project delivery, and obviously we'd be very interested in your view on the subject. Okay, so Caro, without further ado, first question for you, pretty generic one, but I guess is right at the core of the subject, is what makes a good project manager, Caro?
What makes a good project manager? Good question, Mike. For me, there's always an assumption carried with every PM is that they carry, the core skills that will allow them to do the work. So when I mean core skills, I mean scheduling, the risk management, cost management aspects of project management. The distinguishable piece for me will be their ability to communicate. So communication comes in various forms, but for me, it means they're able to communicate towards their stakeholders and appease them for any of their deliverables and their activities, making sure that they entrust a certain level of confidence in what they're doing in terms of their project. And as well, that carries down to the guys on the ground doing the work for them, the ability to adapt. To build on that communication is to build that rapport with those individuals, because that obviously instills, again, back to the confidence thing, and it applies a certain level of transparency across all levels as well. So if the project manager is good at communication, he will be able to get people to do the things that he or she wants to do in terms of delivery for that project. And so building a good rapport with those individuals, it's a necessity to establish a long-term relationship, and that will pay dividends in delivery for a project. Stakeholders will feel a bit more confident. They'll have more visibility, as well as it's almost, you want to be able to be seen to, in terms of negotiation, rob Peter to pay Paul, because there's always going to be elements within your project delivery where someone's going to put a blocker on being able to do something because they're doing other tasks, other activities. So if you've built up a good relationship with that person, a good rapport, they'll almost every time, prioritize you over someone else. So for me, that helps drive projects cadence through, and it works in tangent with the core skills that they should already have as part of project management.
So I suppose, Caro, what we're saying is that what comes with communication is personality, I suppose, and their ability to adapt and work up and down in terms of the hierarchy within a project organisation, whether that's dealing with a C-level stakeholder, as you say, and either appeasing them or encouraging them and giving them the positivity to remain on board with that project, I guess, and keep driving it and not losing faith, down to working at a sort of engineer level potentially, that and getting them to do stuff that they don't necessarily want to do in a timeline that they want to do it. So I guess it's that having that interpersonal skills to operate at different levels. Would you concur with that?
Yeah, I think so, Mike. I think that's, you've nailed it there. I think hand in hand with communication is really the ability to be able to lead and motivate. So as you say, those interpersonal skills will carry. Those people will do the work for you if there's any pushback. So yeah, building that rapport with everyone involved in the project is really a necessity to establish a long-term relationship, and again, it will pay dividends.
I guess it's also important. I mean, there's different personalities, and different personalities will work in different business cultures. And I suppose it's incumbent on us to recognise the culture of a business and the personality of an individual, and put those two things together. Because in a maybe more cutthroat sort of organisation, you've got to be a bit more elbows out and,
Sure.
and perhaps more proactive, whereas perhaps in I hate to say it, but a more laid back type culture where maybe it's a more agile environment, it's more collaborative approach and the ability to motivate people. So matching those personalities with cultures is important as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. And you do see that in the trend of the industry. People work in different sectors. They're used to a different way of working. There's, from the larger organizations, enterprise level, financial institutions, not to name sectors, too acutely, but there are different ways of approaching their executives, their stakeholders, the interested parties. And again, that does filter down to those people doing the work. Some companies are a lot more process orientated, so that individual will need to adapt. But I think you're right in that certain individuals that have been used to working in those sectors, will we'll have to be seen to look to match those cultural attributes. There may be such thing as an all-rounder. I don't know. That's open up to interpretation. I think that's one for the audience to be able to feedback on, whether or not that they think they're capable of working across multiple sectors of industry and cultures. That if there is such a person, I would like to get him in, to be fair. But yeah, agreed.